Per the kosher clinician, here is a new term he created for the conversation: genetically modified. Truth is the assertion that a woman by divine right is superior, a queen, and just because she is female, her wants should always be given, a position that's fortified in solipsism.
So I am truly repentant, and from this day forward, I am going to humble myself unto thee. And Lord, if you find it in your heart to send me a decent man, a loving man, a masculine man, a good man for me, I will humbly accept that man and love him and meet the needs he has, right? I mean, that's what needs to happen. That's the prayer of today's women.
Pick me, pick me, pick me. I love throwing around that word pick me. Anytime a woman says she doesn't want to go 50-50 or she actually respects men, what I want to know is what's wrong with wanting a man who leads, protects, and provides? What's wrong with resting in your feminine while your man handles the heavy lifting? Nothing about that is desperation. That's called wisdom. It's called knowing your value and knowing your role. If that makes me a pick me, then pick me every time, shit. Because I'd rather be soft, safe, and supported than burnt out, bitter, and battling a man for power in my own home. This isn't pick me energy. It's called common sense. And y'all could keep struggling for equality. I'll take peace.
Let's talk about pick me girls. Pick me girl is just a derogatory term for women who don't view men negatively. Women who insist that masculinity isn't toxic and that the patriarchy is not fundamentally designed to oppress them. They get bullied into thinking that they're immoral just for having a positive view of masculinity and a willingness to defend it, because feminists consider them traitors to the cause. But what's worse is that feminists will then twist the definition into one where the girl is only saying these positive things because it's what men want to hear. Thus, she's only saying what she says out of a desperate need for male validation, not an authentically established personal belief. So quite offensively, the only two potential labels that these women are left with are she's a traitor or she's dumb and desperate. It can't just be she likes traditional masculinity and doesn't buy into this whole patriarchal oppression crap. So much for uplifting women. And to bring it home, if logically you feminists don't like pick-me girls because they're dumb and desperate, and that means you also hate pick-me boys because they're dumb and desperate. And seeing as you also hate guys like me who are not desperate for your validation, you really are left hating all men, aren't you? What a sad existence.
Here's a second term coined by the kosher clinician. Digitally modified truth is the precarious effects of media, politics, liberal indoctrination, absolvement of biblical truth, the minimization of masculinity, the destruction of the family, the eradication of objective truth, and the false assertion of paranoid persecution and victimization, which have led to groupthink.
And like I said, they will continue to keep making these videos about how hard it is to be single, and they ain't got nobody, and they don't have no +1, and they don't have no emergency contact, and I just woke up and realized ain't nobody really thinking about me like that. Like, these videos will continue. They will continue and continue and continue. And because women love attention, because they're addicted to attention. Lord on high, y'all are addicted to the attention. You're going to keep making these videos. You don't even know how to take the L in peace and quiet.
So he finally gets his dream car. He is the owner of that vehicle. He takes immaculate care of that vehicle. Sometimes he covers it, and doesn't even drive it often because he's like, I finally got my dream car. It is mine. I'm going to take excellent care of it. I'm going to wash it and wax it and, wipe it and all of the things. Like, he takes care of things that he owns.
Right.
And so why would a woman be any different when he puts that ring on her finger and gives that woman his name?
Right.
He says, yes, this is my responsibility. I'm going to take care of this. And so I gave the analogy about the cat. So most women today are feral cats running around.
They're feral cats.
Okay. They are just struggling.
Like, they're feral. They're feral cats, Anita. And that's what, oh my goodness, they're feral cats. Okay. And when I saw that, I said, you know what? I started using my creativity. I remember a pastor back in the day, he said, you got to use your spiritual imagination. And I went and created something, guys. And this is the prelude to insanity that Anita's talking about, because there are a lot of women that are feral cats. Now, hold tight. We're gonna play this clip. There are a lot of women that are feral cats. Hold on. You tried to warn them, Anita. They wouldn't listen. I guess the pick me is not so bad after all.
I wonder what they are thinking now about the pygmies. Me and my cats are doing just fine.
Humility is the order of the day for women. That is the order of the day. I do believe that God will bless those who come to him humbly, those who are repentant, those who recognize their mistake. Oops, I made a mistake. Like, if you get on your knees tonight, just my prescription for all the women out there who are 30, 35, 40, 45. I want you to get on your knees tonight. I want you to pray to the Lord on high and say, I messed up. Like, I messed up. I was wrong. I was completely out of line. I messed up. I made a mistake.
They asked for it, and they got.
All right. The lack of humility, the scripture said God give grace to the humble, Anita.
Yes.
And he resists the proud. There's a lot of pride in a lot of modern women. I see it in therapy all the time. A lot of hubris, a lot of arrogance. It's this presupposition, Anita, that by default, she's better than a man.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about it in a minute. And you're going to like this one, Anita. You're going to really like this one because, like I said, I'm very creative. They never one kosher clinician, so I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But I created a term, Anita, and you're going to like this one, and you can use it. Just make sure you get the credit for it. But you're going to love this one, Anita. I created a new term, and we're going to break this thing down because, you are intellectual, and so am I. And so I created a whole new term. And the name of this term is called, actually, let me see if I can find it. Hold tight. And it's tied into, here we go. So here we go.
Kosherclinician. Here is a new term he created for the conversation. Genetically modified. Truth is the assertion that a woman by divine right is superior, a queen, and just because she is female, her wants should always be given, a position that's fortified in solipsism.
Genetically modified truth, that's a term that I created. And it's a burgeoning term, Anita, and it's dangerous because it's a term that's not predicated in reality. It's called genetically modified truth. There's an internal clock inside of a woman that's been on overdrive. I think it's always been in the nature of a woman to feel this way, Anita. But I think social constraints, godly virtues, moral conditioning shape the darkness that could have been perpetuated. But now the darkness is out. The cat is out of the bag. Yeah. And righteous women that try to lead women into a path of righteousness, often they are harangued from being called pygmies, male identified, a mammy. She's oppressed. She's internalizing misogyny, all crazy stuff. I mean, crazy stuff that was just the norm back in the day. Because you're 100% correct. The scripture said, "Bone of my bone, she's flesh of my flesh." And so she's my bone. And so I have a right to love my bone, to cherish my bone, to protect my bone, but also, Anita, to die for my bone. That's the greatest gift that a man can give a woman, is to put his life on the line. I just got me a military grade knife. It's nasty too. And I got me a Beretta with hollow points. I got me a nice Beretta. The military use it. And if I have to defend mine, I'm gonna defend it. I'm gonna have to defend my family with my life. Do I want to die? No. Do I want to take bullets? No. I want a bullet hit me in my chest and arms. But that's my responsibility as a husband and a father, is to defend my wife and my children, even unto death if I have to, like Christ gave to the church. But genetically modified truth is a truth that's not predicated, Anita, in reality.
Right.
It's a truth that's predicated in arrogance, solipsism, emotions that don't benefit a man. What men got years ago were quality women. They were quality. They were kosher women. They were kosher. They were not genetically modified. You got a lot of chimeras now. They've been genetically modified by liberal indoctrination. They've been genetically modified by insemination. They've been modified in a lot of negative ways. And when they come into a relationship, then they can't really submit to the leadership of a man. What do you think about the term genetically modified truth? What do you think?
I love it. I mean, like I said, this culture thrives on delusion, right? It just thrives on delusion. And it thrives. There is no universal truth anymore.
Right.
They believe that it's just based on how you feel, you know. And if that's the case, the truth is going to change every hour. So yeah, that we need to have something to identify, like what is happening. Which again, 50 years ago, there was universal truth. There were some truths that everyone agreed with, and now we can't define what is a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's also part of the last days. The scripture said in the book of Timothy that they would not love the truth.
Right.
And because they won't love the truth, the prophet said that I'm going to send them a strong delusion. Listen, Anita, the world is so messed up now. You can show them evidence.
Yeah.
You can show them academic evidence. You can show them, you can put the picture on the wall. And they would dig their heels in, kicking on their way to hell, Anita. Because they don't want to change. And so, you hear these goofy men saying level up. And I'm like, okay, what are we leveling up for? Are we leveling up for virgins? Are we leveling up for quality women? Are we leveling up for women that have emotional regulation? Are we leveling up for women that don't have a bunch of kids by multiple men? Are we leveling up for women that have been ran through? Are we leveling up for women that don't have a liberal ideology and a liberal worldview? Are we leveling up for women that when she comes in, she understands her place in the dichotomy of that man? Watch this. I need y'all to give me a love problem because I'm about to preach in a minute. But Jesus asked the question, Anita, back in the past, and actually Nicodemus asked the great teacher Jesus, and he said, this is what Nicodemus said to Jesus, Anita. He said, Rabbi, or great teacher, what must I do to enter the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus told Nicodemus, you must be born again. The problem with the modern woman, Anita, is that she don't want to be born again. Right. She want to come into the kingdom of man. She want positive ownership. She want ownership, but she don't want positive ownership. Right. She want provision and protection and love, but she don't want to be born again. She got cognitive distortion. She got paranoid persecution. She got schemas that's preventing her from falling under the umbrella of a masculine man. It's a powerful thing, Anita, to be under the umbrella of a masculine man. It's a powerful thing to have provision, because watch this, Anita. A lot of women are suffering right now. They're struggling. They're having somatoform disorders. They got personality disorders. They got all kinds of conditions that are impacting their soul, body, and spirit. And I believe this. I really believe, Anita, that a lot of these women that get MS is due to autoimmune disease due to stress.
Right.
Am I talking right?
Yeah, because we're not built for it.
They're not built for it.
Telling women
they're not built for it.
To compete in this capitalist system.
They're not built for it.
The weight of the world was built for shoulders, not
it was built for shoulders. It was built for shoulders, not for hips. And a lot of them they don't get it. I got a family member of mine, and I ain't gonna go into much detail because I'm gonna tell the business. But I try to tell her, listen, you better love and take care of this man.
Yeah.
But she didn't listen. She fought me. Oh, you need to worry about, arrogant, hard-headed.
Yep.
So, okay, you don't want to listen. Yeah. But now he's doing better. He remarried, making almost $250,000 a year. And now she's singing that song by Harold Melvin, The Blue Notes, the whole world laughing at me, silly fool. She laughing because I tried to save her, Anita. I was trying to save him, Anita. I was trying to bring him to the promised land. I was trying to let her know that she has cognitive distortions in the form of trivialization and minimization, but she didn't want to hear the words of the kosher king. And now she's singing that song by Harold Melvin, The Blue Notes. She don't have a man, and it's hard out here. It's hard out here, Anita, because a lot of them thought that they could get rid of a man. And I don't think women understand how hard it is to replace a good man.
Right.
I'm talking about a man that has vision and need a foresight. Yeah. He's shown continually that he's a provider, he's a leader, and he's very ambitious. I didn't become this man overnight. You know how long it took me to become who I am?
Yeah.
It took me a long time, Anita. It took a lot of trial and error. And also, Anita, it took a lot of what I call pigeon-ish. Because a lot of folks Miss Anita, a lot of folks are trying to put pigeon-ish on me because I'm a masculine man. I don't live by no zodiac. I'm a Leo, so you know about Leos, man. We precious. I ain't gonna back down. I'm gonna say what I want to say, and you ain't gonna tell me what I'm gonna do. You can, if you respect me, we're gonna get along. But if you ever try to control me, you're gonna get this work. So I've been through a lot of pigeon-ish, Anita, and I'm gonna show you this clip. Hold on.
Yeah, shut up, kosher. Yeah, shut up. Whoa, shut up, kosher. Yeah, shut up, kosher. Yeah, shut up. Whoa, shut up, kosher. Ballin', take it back. Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for my bag coming. 3 whole years and these records keep running. Don't talk to me if you can't match the numbers. Ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine.
King-ish, Anita, please forgive me. But that's what kings do. That's what kosher kings do. Kosher kings get it from the mother, Anita. Nobody gave me nothing. It's all but the grace of God that I'm here today. He gave me the power and the grace to become the man that I am. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it, because that's just how I'm built. I'm wired that way. I've made a lot of folks intimidated. I'm 6'5", 6'6". And then I'm dark skinned, but then I'm educated too, and I got a deep voice. Right. And so I scare a lot of folks. I mean, I'm one of them fugitive slaves. Yeah. That they scared gonna cause a revolution, Anita. Yep. So I intimidate folks. Now I'm not trying to intimidate folks, but I never forget one time, Anita, somebody told me, they said, you need to make your voice more soft. I said, well, a lion can't make his voice soft. I'm a lion. Yeah, no. I'm not a kid. I'm a lion. I ain't one of them feral cats, Anita. Yeah. I'm a lion, Yeah. And so, and a lot of folks don't understand that. What's happened to heteronormative masculinity in your opinion? Then we're going to get to the second part. Go ahead.
So we have the great feminization, right? We are living in the great feminization. Feminism has equaled the wokeness that we see. So a lot of the woke agenda, that woke propaganda that we see, it wants to feminize the culture. Right? It does not appreciate the masculine and all that the masculine has created. So this entire world was built by men. And now we want to kind of break down and destroy those systems. And it's interesting to me because we got here on the backs of those systems. So clearly something must be working. That's how we got here. But they want to deconstruct and then reconstruct a more feminized world. Yes, where we're focused on feelings, and because a person feels like they're the different gender, we should all believe that delusion, and we should, because I'm a man and I feel like a woman today, we all have to bend to that delusion. Yes. And now they're trying to kind of do away with freedom of speech because the speech hurts my feelings. It doesn't align with my delusion. So we are in this woke ideology, this really the last 5 or 6 years. Right. We had the trans agenda and all of that. Right. And what's so crazy to me is this is what I tell feminist women. If you get behind this movement, you are advocating to put women out of business. Make that make sense. So you're advocating for men in women's spaces, men in women's sports. Make that make sense. Why would I support something that would put biological women out of business? That don't make no sense.
It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. But then once again, look at things, Anita, through the lens of theology. These academics now, the scripture said, professing to themselves to become wise, they became what? Fools. Yep. I didn't say it. That's what Timothy said would happen in the last days. They profess themselves to be wise, but they're really fools. Right. And he talked about how they changed. It was something called anthropomorphism, where they changed the image of God to something different. If you look at the Baphomet, what do you see in Baphomet? You know what Baphomet is, right?
I don't.
So Baphomet is this symbol of Lucifer. Okay. It's in the pentagram. So you look at Baphomet, you see a goat, a woman with breasts, and then the bottom is a man. That's androgyny, but it's also ambiguity too. Wow. And so watch this. God is not the author of confusion.
No.
He's not the author of confusion. He never have. So a lot of this stuff is tied to cultic feminism. We're gonna get into it in a minute. Shout out to Red Falls Black. He said the modern world embraces the 7 deadly sins. Then the 10 Commandments, no doubt. Shout out to Theo Waff. He said genetically modified true. Oh, I want to run with them. Yeah, go ahead and run with it. Go ahead and run, but make sure you give me credit, because a lot of folks just love to steal my talking points. Theo, and they don't give me credit. But I'm a thinker, man. I'm an intellectual. Some of the stuff I need to get a book and coin it, because folks are stealing your talking points. But what you're seeing is genetically modified truth. And I got another term coming up as well. Shout out to him for that. Hold tight. But this is what's causing distress in our society now, Anita. And AI is taking over, and it's coming at a theater near you. I'm going to show you some, Anita, because this is a prelude to madness. And the second one I got is called digitally modified truth. And digitally modified truth is how the feminist agenda and also the delusion of being better than men has been promulgated over the last couple of years, to the point now that average women think they're superior to average men. And so men say, well, people say, oh, y'all need to level up. Well, what are they leveling up to, brother? I mean, what are men getting, Anita? Let me show you something, Anita, because, people keep talking about leveling up. And, nothing wrong with leveling up, but, are we going to get wholesome women like our grandfathers got? I came up with a word called hoflation, and now everybody's using the word, But let me show you something. I'm going to show you something, Anita, and you're going to be surprised when you see this. But this is what men got years ago. This is what my daddy got, and this is also what my grandfather got. Can you see the picture?
Yep.
All right, let's get into it, Anita. Let's get into it. All right. So this is what I call a cycle of dysfunction, Anita, because once again, Jesus said you can't take new wine and put new wine into old wineskins. There must be a de-evolution of the system in order to have a new system. According to the globalists, they said they're going to bring order out of chaos. That's the new world order, and it's coming. And if I got to die, so be it. I'll be in the arms of Christ. I'll be in heaven with my mom at some point. But if you look at this cycle of dysfunction, the man to the far left, that's my grandfather, Anita. I look just like my granddad. My grandmama used to call him man. And guess what my granddaddy got? My grandmama was a virgin. That's my grandmama to the right. That's my granddad. He was a farmer in the South. And he owned a bunch of land in a place called Pollux. But he got a virgin. She was wife ready. She had no kids. So look at this. Look at this, the cycle of dysfunction.
Right.
We went from the most married to the least married, from virgins to low bodies, Anita. Because there are some good women that got low bodies. They're good women. I'll put a ring on a woman that got low bodies. I sure would, in a heartbeat. Ideally virgin, but I'm not saying a woman that's been with a couple of guys is not a good woman. Now, there's some good women that got low bodies, because you got to be realistic. But then from low bodies to Randrew. From kids in marriage to kids out of wedlock. From widows to divorced women with kids. From divorced women to women with multiple kids by multiple men. And Anita, we went from husband to spouse to partner.
Yep.
That's called social engineering, Anita. We went from husband to spouse, now we're partners. Right. And the word partner is tied into the egalitarian framework. Right. There are some people that use the word partner, they just good folks, they don't mean nothing by it. Yeah. But a lot of that is tied into, I don't trust that you can lead, therefore, we're going to have a partnership. I want a partnership when it's convenient. But also, I want tradition also when it's convenient. What do you think about what you're seeing up there and how this cycle of dysfunction has come into fruition?
Well, what I think is interesting is that it's kind of happened over a very short span of time.
Right.
That's the part that's scary. So really, in the last 50 years, we've seen all of these things break down. I often tell a story about, my mom had a sister and she had a child out of wedlock. And when I tell you, it was shameful.
It was shameful.
It was beyond shameful.
It was beyond shameful.
She lived with my grandparents, and there was even a time where my grandparents were raising her child. And it was kind of hidden. My grandmother had 10 children. So it was like, I think the neighborhood thought that the baby was my grandmother's baby because my grandmother had a lot of children. And I think they just assumed that, oh, she must have had another child, but it was very shameful.
Mm-hmm.
It was not what we're seeing out here today.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're
Yeah, to
correct. You're
think that
correct.
in the last 50 years, this is
Mm-hmm.
what's happened.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. You're correct.
Yeah.
To add clarity to what you're saying, I was saying when you and I were kids in high school, like I came out of high
Yeah.
school 89, 90. I supposed to came out in 89, but I came out in 90. I failed one year. But I remember with girls having babies back in the 90s because, teen pregnancy was an epidemic when we were growing up. But guess what, Anita? That was also shameful.
Yep.
Am I right or wrong? It
Yeah,
was
for
shameful to
sure.
have kids out of wedlock back in the 90s and the 80s when you and I were in school.
That's right. That's right.
What did you see in those scenarios back then? Tell me what you saw.
Again, okay, so here's another story. When I was in high school, I graduated in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
My senior year, a girlfriend, and I wouldn't consider her a close friend, I would consider her a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So she got pregnant senior year. She
Mm-hmm.
got pregnant and she finished high school because we all went to the prom together. But she got pregnant her senior year and she did have her baby. And I remember her and the father, they were together maybe for about 4 or 5 years and then they broke up. They did break up. But again, she couldn't go on to college. That was something that, she had to be at home. She had to have her child. And I think her parents were involved. She did eventually go to college while her parents were helping her with her baby. But like you said, it was the talk of senior year that she got pregnant. I think that February or March, she did graduate. So she was barely showing. We all went to the prom together, but later in the fall, she had her baby. And we all went off to college and had a normal college experience, but she didn't have that. But even then, that was in 86. That was not, the norm. You didn't
That
see,
wasn't the norm. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
you didn't see teenage pregnancy like you did, now.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
It wasn't the norm, and it was also it was also shameful.
Right.
Let's look at the new term Anita called digitally modified truth. But that's why men, Anita, are so aggressive. I'm forced to think about that 33% of men now, they have a small contingent of men that are virgins. More women, Anita, now have had more sexual experience than men, sadly. So let's say if you got a small contingency of average men that never been with a woman or they got low bodies, they're in trouble if they deal with a lot of these chicks that have a bunch of men, they with jocks and athletes. And these men have given them multiple orgasms. He can't. An average man ain't gonna be able to compete with that. What's your take on that?
Well, here's the thing that's interesting. So women, we know that clinically most women are not promiscuous because of sexual pleasure. Most women don't get any sexual pleasure.
Okay.
Women are sexually promiscuous because deep down, women do want love. They do want a stable relationship. They have just been taught to believe that sex is going to make a man commit when it is not.
That's true. I agree with that.
It is not. So unfortunately, they've fallen for the lie that says, well, you're not going to get a man to give you a relationship unless you have sex with him.
That's true. That's true. I agree with that. Right.
The statistics show that women are not out here having all of this amazing sex. Most women don't even orgasm when they have sex. But they have believed the feminist dogma that says this is a part of them being liberated and being empowered, right? They're empowered, they're liberated, they're having sex like a man. They're not enjoying the sex, but they're out here having sex like a man, and that somehow makes them just like men. But deep down, they do want a long-term relationship. And so they've also bought into this is the way to get it. And it isn't. It isn't. And I keep telling women that. I want you to have high self-esteem and high self-worth. There are other things that you can do other than getting on your back and, have some self-esteem, love yourself enough to say, hey, I want something real and sex will come, but in something committed. Yeah.
Right. No, I respect it. And committed and act, hopefully in the confines of marriage. But I agree with you 100%. But digitally modified truth. But you know what, Nita, you said something that's very profound, and I'm always thinking. And I created a term. I created something, and it's going to shock you. But you're gonna laugh at this. But I will argue, Anita, that the average man hasn't had an orgasm. And you might say, what are you talking about? Well, I'm gonna prove it to you in a minute. Hold tight. I will argue, Miss Anita, that the average man has not had an orgasm.
Okay.
But hold tight, because I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about in a minute. Hold on. He hadn't had an orgasm, but I'm gonna explain it in a minute. What I mean by that, Anita, is this. The average man hasn't had an orgasm, meaning he hasn't had a mental orgasm. That's what I'm talking about. Not a physical one. Of course, he's had a physical one.
Yep.
But he hasn't had a mental orgasm, meaning he hasn't been stimulated mentally as a man. He hasn't been given the allure of a feminine woman. Most men don't even know what it looked like. Yeah. They never come nowhere near to having a mental orgasm by a feminine woman, something men got years ago. How would you respond to that?
I would classify it as a bond. So most men have not bonded to a good woman. And you know that a man is bonded to a good woman when she has his devotion. Right. So when a man is devoted, when he can make that logical, rational decision to choose a woman, to marry a woman, to commit to a woman, that signifies there is a bond there. Most men today have never experienced that bond. They've never experienced true devotion to a woman. And that could be because they haven't met a woman that's worthy. So that's a big part of it. Like, no, none of these women are worthy of that. So yeah, that's a lot
how do women respond to what let's say, tell me what you think, Anita. I know this is a guesstimation. We it's not in the hard science, but what percentage of women would you say, and try to minimize anecdotes, but what percentage of women would you say are actually wife ready and ready for a competent man? Based on what you've seen, is it there about 20%? About 20%. Yes, ma'am. Right. Yes, ma'am. So right. So about 20%. Right. Yeah. Some will say even less than that. Yeah. What are you seeing that makes it less than 20%, Anita?
I see like you said, the arrogance, the pridefulness. Women who have, of course, bought into the feminist lie, and they don't want to be married. They don't want to come together with a good man and come under his leadership and be in that masculine containment. They don't want to submit to his leadership. They don't want to take care of their own children. A lot of them don't even want to have children. Right. And they don't see that as valuable. But having children, having a family, having a husband, all of those things have given my life meaning, true meaning. Okay, so not work, not money and what I buy and where I go. That stuff does not give my life meaning. No, it doesn't. What gives my life meaning is doing for others and sacrificing and raising children, keeping a home. Giving within my church community, giving within my neighborhood. Right. Those are the things that give my life true meaning. And that's why a lot of women do suffer from mental health conditions because they are purposeless. They don't have any meaning in their life.
Yes, ma'am. I love that. I love that. Right. So basically what you're trying to say, they're not living their life on purpose.
Nope.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that goes back to the 4 dimensions that we talked about. Yeah. A lot of women on SSRIs and benzodiazepines due to stress, anxious, worried, they don't have a husband to protect them and guide them. And they're in a frenzy. Now you talked about something, Anita, that's true. You're right. There are women that have intimacy with men because they want love. That is 100% true. But what do you say to the women, Anita, that are promiscuous because he's cute or he got good hair? Because there are a lot of women that do that as well. So what would you say to that?
Smaller percentage. I don't think that's most women. I think most, like I've said it on many other podcasts, most women do not enjoy the sex that they are having. Like that's the truth. Okay. But they are designed to And think about it this way too. Women have a father hunger. Okay, so there is a father hunger that women have, and sex can meet that father hunger. Okay, so if there's no dad in the home, if there's no dad raising them, if there's no healthy masculine frame in their life, they're going to go out on a Friday night and they're going to find that in the backseat of a man's car. So they may find it for 10 minutes, but it is feeding that father hunger that they have. Okay, I am, think about it this way, I am underneath a man. Okay, I am falling underneath a man, even in the sex act. So this is a desire that every woman has, and she gets to decide how that need gets met. So for me, that need does not get met by having sex with multiple men. It gets met by being in a committed relationship, being married, listening to my husband. That's how that need gets met. But for other women, it gets met sexually. It gets met through online validation and fire emoji and heart eyes. It's all the same. It's that father hunger.
I like that, the father hunger. I want you to listen to Vincent Elliott, and a lot of folks got this term from me as well. I didn't get a lot of this stuff, Pat. I want you to listen to this. And this goes back to about digitally modified truth. Hold tight.
Or worth, and their worth will not be an inflation. It'll be limitless. We'll all start putting you on the pedestals that my father put my mother on. That my grandfather put my grandmother on. That my great-grandfather put my great-grandmother on. You know why? Because I knew all three of them. And they revered these women. And they loved them. Sadly, all of these men had to bury their wives. And I saw them all weep and hold their hands while they passed. And the word hoflation did not even exist in our community during those times. You know why? Because the women were so awesome. It had no countenance. There's no description for it. It didn't exist. We can get back there. So maybe we can get to a point where we can throw this word away. We have the examples. We need to look to them. Some of these beautiful, elegant old women still exist. But Vince Ellison ain't gonna let you go until we get back to where we're supposed to be.
All right.
Term coined by the kosher clinician.
I know you got to go in a few minutes. Genetically modified truth is the next term. Digitally modified truth is another term that I created. This leads to cultic feminism. Let's look at this. No, you got to go. You got to stop at hard 15. So let's look at this.
Here's a second term coined by the kosher clinician. Digitally modified truth is the precarious effects of media, politics, liberal indoctrination, absolvement of biblical truth, the minimization of masculinity, the destruction of the family, the eradication of objective truth, and the false assertion of paranoid persecution and victimization, which have led to groupthink.
So in ancient times, goddess worship cults like people who followed Inanna or Ishtar, or people who were into black magic and witchcraft and glorified like female demons such as Lilith, or the Hindu goddess Kali, who strangely is on the cover of the very first feminist magazine in the United States. Magazine in the 70s chose the bloodthirsty male sexing goddess Kali to be on their cover, which is a super weird choice for a magazine in the 70s that you're selling to suburban women. But they chose her because she represents sexual freedom, vengeance against men. She wears...
Some of this, Anita, is spiritual. See, this was good, Anita. This is good, man. I know you got to go in a few minutes, 5 minutes. But it's spiritual, Anita. Listen, I want you... I don't know if you ever read this book by John Milton, Paradise Lost. Have you ever read that book?
I read it many, many, many years ago. I'm trying to even remember. But yes. Wow. That... Ooh.
Okay, in John Milton's Paradise Lost, and there's a woman by the name of Madame Blavatsky. She's from the Deal Philosophy Society or whatever, and it goes back. It's part of cultic stuff. Some Gnostics talk about it. But anyway, it's tied to the occult. Basically, God was the patriarch. He was bad. Lucifer was the victim. In John Milton's Paradise Lost, the father was the bad man because he was the bad patriarch, and Lucifer was the victim, even though he was the rebel. So a lot of this stuff is tied into occultic feminism to the point now, Anita, a lot of women are into crystals, they're into the New Age, they're into smudging and a lot of that stuff. Have you seen that in your practice before you go?
For sure. And one of the things that I just warned women about, because now they're saying, how do we know God is a he? And, all this different stuff. Yeah,
right. Yolanda Adams said that. Did you hear her say that? Yolanda Adams said it. Yes, ma'am.
I did. And again, they are trying to rewrite history or rewrite it or deconstruct what we've been under for thousands of years. And again, I don't understand this obsession with wanting to just completely recreate the wheel. There is a system that has been in place, and I believe it's a natural system. It's a natural order. Why would you want to just destroy that, tear that down, and then think you're going to create something new or better or different? Like, God has given us the blueprint.
He's given us the blueprint.
That's it. Why can't we follow that? And here's the thing. I believe women are happier when they do. That has been proven.
It's been proven. It's been proven. And listen, they'll say I don't want structure, but they really want structure. They'll say I don't want a man.
That is in our nature.
It's in your nature. They'll say I don't want a man to lead, but they really want a man to lead.
Right.
Because, and they're gonna try. Your woman gonna try. She's gonna test your gangster.
Right.
But you gotta say, no, woman, I love you, but I'm running this ship. You go. I love you.
That's it. And then they have this video circulating now that says, "Oh, would you want to be on a planet with only women?" Oh yeah. That would be pure chaos.
That would be
pure chaos. And then they asked the men, would you be on a planet with all men? All the men said no, because men actually have logical, rational minds that say, no, I would want the feminine to be present because we do bring nurturing, we bring softness, we bring creativity, we bring a lot of wonderful things to the world, but we need the masculine to anchor us down, the masculine's logic and rationale to say, okay, this is wonderful, this is beautiful. However, they bring that groundedness to the woman, and together it's amazing. So
I totally agree. Listen, stay on the wall, like Nehemiah said. Don't come down, man. I know you got to go, but I really enjoyed you. I'm gonna finish the show talking about AI, but I really enjoyed you. You can catch a recap. You can clip it the way you want to clip it. But thank you for your insight. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your professionalism. You are a gem. You are rare. There ain't a lot of women that's doing what you're doing. I know it's not fake because I know you're a rebel in a good way. You're a good rebel. And I know that you're a humanitarian. So listen, go enjoy your family, dear. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
We'll talk in the background, dear. Be good. Bye-bye. All right. All right, guys. That was Anita, guys. Giving some clarity. But